It's a spooky Halloween! Ghosts, ghouls, dry bones, spooky! Checking the levels.
Woot, 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 woot.
Are we really doing this?
Yeah.
Yay. Hi, everybody.
Hello, it's us. We're back.
We're back, and this is a special episode of Confidently Controversial.
It's so spooky.
It's so spooky, but why? Kim, tell the people why this episode is special.
Because it's night.
It's night, guys. It's Halloween. It's nighttime.
We're going to be so scared at the end of this.
It really is. Okay. Well, first of all, we never do this podcast. We rarely do this podcast at night.
Every now and then it's a special treat.
It's a special treat, and we're doing like a sleepover.
Yeah.
So it's a girls' night, sleepover, watching a movie. It's Kim's pick. And I wouldn't be lying if I said that I was a little bit scared about what you're picking.
You should be nervous.
No, I'm so scared.
But before we get into it, what is happening?
What is happening?
Yeah, tell us.
Just in general?
Yeah, this is where we talk about our lives.
Oh, I forgot.
This is how we make people like us.
Okay. Kim, I am as old as you know I am, and I have not figured out how to make people like me yet.
It's true. Just me.
I know. My family likes me because they have to.
Sure.
And you.
And me.
And you. No, what's been going on? So it's Halloween. I did take the children on a haunted trail walk yesterday because I'm a great mom.
You are.
Now,
superstar.
Thank you. Initially,
yes,
I was not going to walk on the trail.
This is what you told me all week.
Yes, and I cleared it. So my daughter, who is a 13-year-old, she wanted to bring a few of her friends.
Sure.
I cleared it with those other moms.
Yeah.
That I was
weren't going to go.
That I was not going to walk on the trail. I just said, I'm not planning on going, and they were all good with it.
Sure.
But then my two sons, they got involved.
Don't you wish that you knew the theme song to that?
I do know the theme song, but I can see the little shoes tapping.
The little cartoon
We're
shoes.
not that old. It's just that we're old enough to have had Nick at Night. So that's how we know.
Those were our reruns.
Yeah, my three sons.
Yeah.
But yeah, so my two sons all of a sudden got involved. And
it was 3, not 2.
The show was my 3 sons.
Okay, sorry.
But in my life, I have 2 sons.
Go ahead.
So they got involved. So then all of a sudden I had to go on the haunted scary walk. I will tell you that in the advertisements for this spooky scary walk, you could have monster repellent bracelets for the little ones.
Okay.
Now, we're not that little, but like, I don't need to be jump scared.
No.
So I was like, give me one of those monster repellents.
Sure. Did they cost extra?
No, it was just a glow stick bracelet.
Okay.
And you just asked for one. So I got one and my 2 sons got them. The people who were the players in the haunted walk did not respect the bracelet.
Interesting.
Not at all. It didn't work. Even when my son was like literally holding it in front of us.
Was it the first night of this thing?
No, this was the second weekend.
Okay. Well, then they have no excuse.
I know, but I do feel like people who were, so I was in a haunted mansion thing when I was in college.
I vaguely remember this, yes.
Yeah. So when I was in college, that was a job I had during Halloween. It was, I know. I try to forget about it.
Sure.
Although if you ask my daughter, she'll be like, you talk about it all the time.
Okay.
It was fun. I mean, it was a bunch of college kids and it was like a maze that they made. The walls were all made of like a black burlap. I remember that. And I just remember the smell of it, which is funny because it smelled like that at this thing. Cause I guess it's that like fake mist, that fake fog smell, all through there. I played a gypsy.
Okay. You're not allowed to use that word anymore.
What do you, like a fortune teller?
Okay. Sure.
Okay. I was like Madame Leona, but I was me.
Okay.
So my job was basically like they would come into my space and I had to keep them for a certain amount of time so that they could reset the other spaces.
Okay.
So I just had to riff.
Sure.
And just talk as if I was somebody who could tell the future.
Okay.
So it was fun.
That sounds fun.
It was fun. There were cute boys there. We had
working
fun.
there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it was a scene, Kim.
Okay.
It was a scene.
All right.
So
Don't get into it now.
I'm not going. I would never. But I feel like that's the vibe at this thing. They tried to have a story with it. It was supposed to be like a creepy Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
And they did this whole thing when you first walked into this room before you walked outside to the trail, where it was like they made somebody in your group had to pick either a red jelly bean or a blue jelly bean, and they had to eat it. And I was just like, don't eat the jelly bean. Like, why am I trusting to eat this jelly bean?
Where's that been?
But then,
who counted them? Who touched them?
Well, some other little girl. I think she was not in my family. Her grandma.
She's okay today.
Yeah. Her grandma let her eat the jelly bean.
Yeah.
And, but then you walk through the trail, and afterwards my kids were like, wait, like, what was that all about?
Oh.
I'm like, yeah, I don't know that it was about anything.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, it was weird.
Huh.
I was like, we're the Matrix now?
Huh.
Like, what's happening?
Okay.
But yeah, so I did that yesterday. How are you? What's going on with you?
Well, the reason we're able to have this lovely little gathering is because my husband's away.
Oh,
thank God.
when the husband's away, the podcasters will play.
That's right. So we can do a night podcast. But so we were talking about the trip, and I've been thinking about this a lot since he told me about it. So they were talking about the trip, and he's going with his friends, and they just pick a random location that's like somewhat halfway between the homes of all of his friends that he used to live with in college.
Right. So this is like your husband and all his dude friends.
Yeah, there's 3 other dudes, and they're all in Lancaster, Pennsylvania right now.
Because they're Amish.
Because it's like halfway between the two spots.
Okay. I gotta say, I love Lancaster.
They don't even go outside.
It's so
They
fun
play
there.
board games. They bring their own food. They play board games. They nerd out all weekend. They get a little drunk, and they have a great time.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, it does. Sounds like a great time.
I'm down.
But one of the people that he used to be roommates with that's going on this trip was talking about how last year he took the trash home with him.
Wait, what?
When they left. So it's an Airbnb.
Okay. But it's not like I know when you go and you camp on a mountain, you have to, whatever you go with, you have to take down with you.
Well, this is not Mount Everest.
No, this is
an Airbnb.
Right. So that's what I mean. Like there should be trash, and you just have to, sometimes there's rules where they say
you just have to put it in the trash can. Right. Yeah. So he said that he took the trash with him last year, and then anytime he stays in a hotel room or any type of establishment like that, he takes the trash.
Okay. That's
wild.
I mean, I don't want to say anything bad because he's your husband's friend and he's probably a very nice person. I probably have met him before.
You have.
Okay.
I lived with him for a little bit when my husband and I first started living together.
Okay. I mean, why? Is he worried what's in the trash?
No,
Are
he
there
just feels
body
like
parts
it's impolite.
at like a hotel to leave trash?
Right. If you cleaned a room at a hotel and there was no trash, wouldn't you think that was weird? Like not one little bit of trash?
I mean, I don't know that I would, first of all.
Yeah, I guess. I was like, thank God.
Yeah, I probably would not notice, nor would I.
No, you'd notice.
If there was no trash, I'd be like, yeah, thank God. I'd be happy about it.
Because the way my brain works is I've thought about the job of cleaning a hotel room.
Of course you have.
And I assume that there's like a system and you have to check like a certain number of things before you leave the room.
Well, I also assume that you're cleaning all of these rooms that look pretty much the same.
Right, which is why you need a numbered system.
So you have, even if someone's not giving you a system, you have a system.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly. So you can good at your job.
Yeah.
Right. Trash under the bed, bathroom, toilet, shower.
Right.
Hairs on the wall.
Towels, shampoo.
Right.
All the things.
Coffee. Right.
All the things.
Yeah.
Right.
But then he just takes the trash with him. I just think it's very strange. I just couldn't get over it.
First of all, I don't feel like there's always trash bags in those.
There's not, usually.
Right.
So you're just picking it up? You're just holding it? You bring your own bag?
Are you embarrassed or you just don't want to like...
What kind of trash do you have?
Well, that's my question.
You think it's obscene trash?
That's my question.
Okay.
Because why else would you care? Like, I feel like that's very sus, as the kids say. That's a little sus.
Right. But I had to bring it up. You see why I had to tell you this?
Of course you did.
I wanted to text you about it, but I was like, oh, that's a podcast topic.
So my first reaction to that is that is perhaps a mental health thing.
Well, here, let me tell you
But
this.
my next reaction is it's a little suspicious.
Okay. When I lived with this person, they're never going to listen to this. They were the most disgusting people that I've ever lived with in my whole life.
Okay, like pooping in a trash can.
Well, okay. They were the second most disgusting people.
Well, because, I mean, we have known people who have not wanted to leave their bedroom. Like, these are people who are not friends of ours, but we have known people who were like, had roommates.
Right.
Who peed in jars in their rooms.
Yeah.
So, like, people do weird shit.
When they have roommates.
Yeah.
Or just in general.
So
that person could still pee in jars at their home. We don't know.
I mean, I assume that person was peeing in jars because they didn't want to go out of their room to pee. They hated the roommate so much they didn't want to be around.
But
that
our
person.
friend that was the roommate, that was the normal roommate.
Our friend was the normal roommate.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, the other one had an extensive Winnie the Pooh collection.
Right. And may or may not have killed our friend's pet. Right?
Yeah. What a weird time.
What a weird time.
But yeah.
He did it. You're peeing in your room.
No, he definitely did.
He definitely killed that pet.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
It wasn't like a dog or anything.
No,
guys.
and he wasn't. No, it was a bird. It was a bird.
But still, they live a long time.
Yeah.
You pay a lot for those birds.
Yeah, I mean,
you pay a lot for those birds, Kim.
I think this bird was cheap, but at the same time, it didn't deserve to die that way.
No.
Yeah. I bet he fed him something like sus.
You think?
Sus, since we're using that word.
We're using that word now. You don't think he like blew something in his face?
I love that. I love that imagery. And the bird was just like, oh.
And he fell off its perch. Yeah. But yeah, there are weird people. And
roommates make you weird. I've never had a roommate that I wasn't in love with.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no.
Oh, never. That you weren't like dating.
Right.
Okay. I was going to say that's weird.
No, I've never had a roommate that I wasn't dating or
I didn't have many. No, I didn't have that many because I
just said that I did. I guess I kind of did, but go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, like when I went to college, I wrote a letter to the college because at the college you could have a single room.
Yeah.
And I wrote a letter to the college explaining why I, a freshman, needed to have my own room.
Yeah.
And it was basically because I'm a middle child and I've never had my own room and I needed my own room.
Did they give it to you?
Yes, they did.
Nice. Good
I know. So I didn't have a roommate.
Is that the only time that middle child thing has worked for you?
I mean, I don't think it's even worked. That was an advantage. And that's probably the only one that I can think of. But yeah, I had roommates. I did have after that. Mm-hmm. I transferred to a different college and I had roommates who were so fun on both of these roommates. And we're just digressing in a crazy way. But I will tell you that both of these roommates were from the South.
Oh, yeah.
And we're Northerners.
Right, we are.
And on our first night hanging out together, and I loved them. They were great roommates, and it was so fun.
Is one of them the one that you
drew the vampire teeth on?
Yeah.
No, that was the next year. But these roommates were both from the South, and I just remember that on our first night hanging out, they talked about like the Civil War. It came up. They were all hanging out. I might have been imbibing on some things.
Right.
And they started talking about the Civil War. And I just remember cracking up. And they're like, what are you laughing about? I'm like, I have like hung out with so many people and I've had so many conversations and the Civil War has never come up until now. Right. But it's like, they've always talked about it.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy to me.
They're still a little sore about it.
They call it the War of Northern Aggression.
Yes, I'm aware.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I dated a Southerner for a while and had to live, deal with his whole family and stuff.
It's just weird. Yeah. This is it's not weird. It's just
It's not weird. It's just different. They just have a different POV.
They have a different POV.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Have we done enough?
Oh, God, I'm so afraid. Yes, let's go. Let's do it.
Yay. All right, we're back.
Okay, this is your pick, Kim. Last Halloween of the season.
I know, and I've gone all in.
Oh, Jesus, you know how I feel about a scary movie.
I know, and that's why I chose this movie.
All right, go for it. Just do it.
Okay. So I decided when I was thinking about movies to watch, and I went back and forth a lot, but I decided we needed to watch we watched a lot of kids' Halloween movies.
Well, that's what I was saying. I literally had this conversation with my husband before I came over here, and I was saying that I was really scared about what you were going to pick because we've stayed in the kiddie side of the pool for all of Halloween so far. So I knew that if I were you, I would pick something scary.
Right. And so, you know, we've got to embody the true spirit of the season, right?
I mean, I guess.
It's our job, Emily.
I know.
It's truly our job.
I don't know why I picked this job, but
We
go
want
ahead.
to watch a real horror movie.
Oh, God. Okay.
So that's what we're going to do.
God, and it's night.
And it's night. But before we dive into what the movie is, because we haven't gone in this genre yet,
Okay.
I need to give you a little history.
Okay.
Because we're watching a specific type of horror movie.
Oh, God. Okay.
And that type of horror movie is the slasher film.
Okay. Fun.
Yeah, yeah. So you're familiar.
Sure. Yeah,
Yes,
I'm aware. I don't know that I've seen a ton of them.
But there's so many.
There are.
Okay. So slasher films, they are characterized by their focus on a killer stalking and murdering a group of people, often using a knife.
God.
Those knives are very
Those are
dangerous.
knives.
A knife or a sharp weapon.
Okay. So to slash.
They never use a gun.
Right.
That's not their MO.
Okay.
They have a very specific formula, and often it's because something in the past happened that was wrongful, and they are kind of there to, because it's an anniversary of something, or to commemorate something, or to kind of get vengeance on people for something that's happened in the past. That's a big trope in slasher
and
films.
it's usually teenagers, and there's usually boobs involved.
Yes, always boobs.
That's a rule of slasher films.
So one article that discussed the slasher film genre said, slasher villains are human beings or were human beings at some point.
Okay.
Oh
my God. Kim's house just made a noise. Oh, God.
Perfect. Slasher villains are human killers whose actions are objectively evil because they're meant to be bound by human morality. That's part of the fear that the genre is meant to prey upon. The idea that killers walk among us.
But they aren't always alive, right? Like, because sometimes the killers have like superhuman qualities to them.
Yes, but the true origin is they're meant to be humans who, there's something wrong with these humans. Something happened to these humans.
Mentally ill.
Yes.
Okay.
Basically.
Oh, and now I feel bad for them.
And then another very popular characteristic of the slasher film is what they call the final girl.
Okay.
And the final girl is like a sole survivor who stands up to the killer and is meant to survive while everyone else dies.
It's always a girl.
For the most part, it's always a girl.
Is the first person who dies always a black person? Because I feel like
I did not find that in my research, but that is a common stereotype.
It is a stereotype.
Yes.
Okay. And isn't it a lot where they're some of the first killings are around sex because they're almost being punished?
I'm going to get
for
into
it.
that.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
Okay. Can I also just say something to the
Yes.
people listening? Every time Kim says slasher, she's making quotes with her fingers.
Oh, sorry.
So you guys just have to know that is happening throughout.
Sorry.
So go ahead. Continue.
Okay. So the origins of slasher films date from the 1960s, and many people refer to Psycho by Alfred Hitchcock as the introduction of the concept.
I was going to ask, what was the first one?
Yeah. So the genre features a psychologically complex killer and a shocking twist, setting a precedent for future slashers.
Love a twist.
Sure. So they do give Psycho, Alfred Hitchcock, the credit for being the OG.
Okay.
After that, it was kind of full bore slasher films all the time. The 70s, you had 1974's Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Right.
Which was a hot film. And then another trope of the genre is like often they're disfigured or wearing some sort of mask or some sort of disguise.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. Do you think that's hot? That's the way you said it. Okay. Do you like like that?
No,
Okay.
but I'm aware.
I know what you're thinking. Okay.
I'm aware of the thing. Can I wait a second?
Yes,
Can I tell a little
hand,
quick-
Emily. Yeah.
So I just need to tell another quick. Remember last week when I talked about how I drew vampire teeth
Yeah.
on a roommate's book and she didn't like it?
Yeah.
So that same friend, I don't know, roommate,
Not your friend.
she was really into horror.
Okay.
And she had a Michael Myers doll.
Uh-huh.
And I used to hide it places in the apartment. And she didn't like that either.
Way to go.
Put that reasons why people don't like me.
Man.
You would
Add
like
to
that.
the
That was
list.
fun.
I would like it.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Like, where's Michael Myers
Right.
today?
Well, we've worked together at multiple jobs, and one of our old jobs, we hid a headshot of a particular person around the office for
We
a long
did.
time. And that was pretty fun.
That was fun.
Okay. So, the 80s, that's when slasher films went nuts. There were tons of them. It's kind of the golden age of the slasher film. You had Jason Voorhees in Friday the 13th and Frederick Krueger from Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
And then they say beyond that, it kind of got into a self-awareness kind of thing with the slasher films. So you had parodies and then a period of what they call self-reflection.
Like when they come like too meta.
Yeah, so they got very meta and they started examining the tropes and kind of making fun of them, like the Scream movies,
Sure.
Cabin in the Woods, and Happy Death Day.
I think I saw Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah, that one was good. Bradley Whitford is in that.
Is he?
Yeah.
I
and
don't
I think
know.
one of the, maybe Channing Tatum. No, not Channing Tatum. What's the Hemsworth? A Hemsworth, I think is
Oh,
in that.
really?
I think so, maybe.
I don't remember.
know.
I was holding on for my dear life, if I remember.
Sure. And then another common thing that happens with these movies is that there's sequels and reboots, and they often span decades.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're still making some of these. I always feel like you were just saying where they got meta, but then I feel like they come back around. And
Yes.
there have been recent ones, like the recent Halloween movies have been heralded as very, very good horror movies.
Right. So I looked it up just to see. There's 12 Friday the 13th movies.
Okay.
There's 9 Nightmare on Elm Street movies. And then the movie we're going to watch today has 13 movies in its franchise.
Is it Michael Myers?
Are you asking me?
I'm asking. Is it Michael Myers?
It is.
Are we watching the first Michael Myers?
We're watching the original Halloween.
Oh my goodness.
So,
Well, my daughter has seen this movie.
Okay.
And she was down. Well, she liked it.
but she
thought-
laughs at a lot of things.
She likes horror movies. And like my husband has tried to just let her watch some things. I have never seen this movie.
I know.
This is like a young Jamie Lee Curtis.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
I'm excited to watch it because I feel like it's our job.
Yes.
So you need to watch it.
Uh-huh.
But I also feel like I'm going to get scared.
So my husband loves horror movies, and I have to watch a lot of them. And I will say that I picked this movie because while I didn't see it when I was young, I watched it as one of my first horror movies when I was subjected and had to still pretend I liked them and stuff like that. And I will say it's a good movie. It's a well done movie.
I've heard that. I mean, what is your recollection of these relationship to these movies from when you were younger? Like, do you remember them?
I do, but vaguely. I mean, they weren't something I was interested in necessarily, and it wasn't something I would have never gone to see a Friday the 13th movie or Nightmare on Elm Street movie. I think that, and I don't feel like they were something that was on TV until we were a little older.
No, my recollection of them is being aware of them. Not Michael Myers as much as Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
I was aware of.
Yes.
But I remember it was like a teenager thing. Like if I was a little kid, the teenagers watched those things and I had no idea.
Right.
Like I remember trick-or-treating and seeing people dressed like, with the
Jason Voorhees. Yeah. And then Freddy Krueger was really popular costume too.
Freddy Krueger, I have a little bit more of a relationship to only because I never saw any of those movies because I would be too scared. I saw a making of and the making of the movie. I watched it while I was babysitting someone. Again, babysitting someone came up last time too.
Yeah.
Weird. But I got so scared just from in the daytime watching a making of a Friday.
Sure. No, I get it.
Yeah, I'm not made for these movies, Kim.
Okay. Well, tonight you're going to be.
Great.
One of the things I wanted, you kind of mentioned it a little bit, is this moral element that comes up. And that is often found in these slasher movies. A lot of times. And, you know, you kind of consider it for all horror movies, but it's really the slasher films where they try to teach you a lesson. And the lesson very often is don't have sex.
Was that part, whoever made these movies, was that definitely something they thought about, or just they were just like, no, we're just because they wanted to have some sex in the movie?
So my understanding, so John Carpenter is the director of the the original Halloween film, and that it's been studied and it's been brought up, and he basically said, look, I was just talking about teenagers being teenagers. And this is what they do. You know what I mean? So he was not trying to make a moral stance or a moral point. But I think that it kind of snowballed over the years. And it just became, because you're in a compromising position, you're somewhat weak, you're not paying attention to your surroundings.
Your underwear's off.
Right. Yeah. Your boobs are out.
Your boobs are out, your underwear's off.
Right.
And you're not in a place where you're ready to
face the slasher.
Face the slasher.
Exactly. Right. And they said too, slasher films often link desire and danger. Most of the time, characters who engage in sexual activity become targets for the killer, embodying a cautionary tale about the consequences of promiscuity.
Makes me think of, you know, how there are those haunted mansions. I say haunted mansions, but they're really just haunted houses.
Okay.
Where there is a very big moralistic thing to it, where they have a certain name to them, where they go through and they're Christians who go
like
through,
they try to scare you into not having sex or not being gay or things like that.
Not being gay, not having sex, not having abortion.
Sure. So the trope also suggests a link between moral behavior and survival, because that final girl is often an embodiment of purity. Or a virgin, or someone who isn't doing the same thing that everyone else is doing. She shows restraint. She is very moral and does not have sex before marriage.
You're definitely not going to live at the end of this movie.
You shut up. But we did talk about this a little bit last week, kind of with the virgin thing. That was, that was a big thing in the movie, in a lot of movies too. And it does carry over to the slasher films, because oftentimes the final girl or the survivor is someone who hasn't partaken in that bad behavior.
Well, these are definitely very, these feel very male driven.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
A lot of times there's critiques that they're, not very feminist, have seen the slasher movies since Halloween. Some feminist critics have seen the slasher movies since Halloween as debasing women as a decisive manner in hardcore pornography.
What do you mean?
Like because I think that slasher films really developed, and all the horror fans are going to be like, you don't know what you're talking about, because they're dorky kids, like the train kids.
Right. They're your husband.
Yeah, no, I know. But that turned in, the slasher film really became like torture porn.
Oh, yeah.
With the Saw films and with the, Hostel and things like that.
I saw Hostel in the movie theater and almost vomited in the movie theater. Like, I could not handle it.
And they also kind of talk about that they're not surviving because they're smart or savvy or making a plan. Mm-hmm. They're just kind of surviving because of luck. Mm. It's not their resourcefulness. It's not because they're this smart lady.
Right.
It's just kind of, And one of the things that has always bothered me about the Halloween movie, and you can kind of see it if it bothers you, and it's very common in a lot of movies, is the way they make women scream in horror movies.
It's like a sexy scream.
It's very sexual.
I'm pushing my boobs out while I scream.
And it's very, if you were listening and not watching, I think there would be confusion as to whether someone was having sex or being killed. And that's what I always think about, because I hate it a lot when it happens.
Yeah. Okay. So, I'm going to be, like I said, I have not seen many of these movies, so I will definitely pay attention to that.
Okay.
But I do think that, I don't think women are probably treated very well.
No. Well, they're often the victim.
Yeah. And that's in life too.
Well, true. Very true.
Yeah.
So to get back to Halloween a little bit, directed by John Carpenter, it released October 25th, 1978. So it was prime Halloween time.
Okay. We were babies.
Yeah.
You were getting ready to be a year old.
That's right.
Yeah.
The movie was originally called The Babysitter Murders,
Ew.
which I don't think it would have had the success or the longevity if it was still called. I think it would have been a one-off movie.
Right. Well, I think so. These were 78.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like they have definitely become very embedded in American culture.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder, it'd be interesting to know if people from other countries know about this, because it feels very American.
It does feel very American. The movie only cost about $300,000 to make.
Wow.
They did very little advertising for the film, but the movie went on to gross over $70 million in the United States alone, making it one of the most profitable independent films of all time.
Wow, that's awesome.
It's interesting, yes.
Yeah.
The stars, we talked about Jamie Lee Curtis. The doctor in this is called Donald Pleasance. His name in real life is Donald Pleasance. And apparently he was some sort of, popular actor because they couldn't afford him for the whole time.
Mm.
So and this is something I didn't read. This is something my husband told me, that he shot all of his scenes in one day because they really couldn't afford him for more than one day. And then Nick Castle is the name of the person who played what they refer to as the Shape.
Oh, he didn't have a name in this.
Well,
he wasn't Michael Myers.
Michael Myers is his name, but when he's wearing the costume and he's doing the killing, they refer to him as the Shape.
So, can I ask a question about that guy?
You can.
Has it always been the same person playing him?
Okay. I did see that, what did I say? There's 13 movies. Yeah. There's probably been 12 or 13 people that have played.
It was something different.
Michael Myers.
This is like a stunt guy.
Yeah, I guess so. Because it doesn't matter who's in the costume. And you'll see him as a killer.
He's like, it matters.
You'll see that Michael Myers is a presence, but at the same time, one of the facts that I wrote down was he doesn't talk ever. And I think that he didn't talk until...
He talks? I didn't think he ever talked.
2007 or something like that. 2007.
Is he mentally disabled?
He was in a, and you'll see it at the beginning of the movie. He was in a, what do they call it? Like a mental institution, a psych ward, yes.
Okay.
One other person that stars in this movie, Kyle Richards, who is a Real Housewife of Beverly Hills.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, she's related to the Hiltons. She's Kathy Hilton, Paris Hilton's mom's sister.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
Okay.
I know. Exciting.
That is so exciting. Well, I feel like the big thing with all of these movies and why they're effective is you don't have to see, it's the suspense.
Right.
It's the what's behind that door.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the thing that makes life scary.
Yeah, it is.
Like there could be something on the other side of that door right now, Kim.
Well, that's what I always feel like is very scary to me. And when I read about the fact that slasher films are scary because it's a human.
Yes.
And it's a human who's gone crazy. And I do feel like humans are the scariest thing to me.
Yeah, because they're real.
Right.
And humans do go crazy.
And so that's why these movies are very impactful to people and very scary to people because while it's, obviously Freddy Krueger is not going to haunt your dreams, but when you see the way that Michael Myers operates, it could happen.
You know what's interesting? And just talking about this is thinking of if we're talking about this genre and these types of films as being very male, like very much through the male eye. Well, through the female gaze, we have true crime is definitely more through the female gaze, but it's the same thing.
Yeah.
But I feel like to women with being interested in true crime, it's like, we don't need the fantasy. We need to be armed with the facts.
We live in this reality at all times.
Right. We need to know the real monster so we can be prepared.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, great.
God, why are you making me watch this shit? God damn it.
Because it's a good movie.
Is it?
Upon its release, Halloween received mixed to positive reviews.
Okay.
They praised John Carpenter for the direction of the film. It's very suspenseful. And the score is really good. So pay attention to the music. The film has been recognized as a classic, earning a 96% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's high.
That is high. And it's lauded for its innovative approach to horror. And it's a very influential horror film. It's, one of the people say it's pretty good. Roger Ebert, our buddy, gave the film high praise. But he didn't review it until 1979 for the Chicago Sun-Times, and he referred to it as a visceral experience. We aren't seeing the movie, we're having it happen to us. It's frightening. Maybe you don't like movies that are really scary, then don't see this one. If you don't like movies that are very scary, then don't see this one.
Okay.
He also said it was one of his top 10 films of 1978.
Oh. Poor little Ebert was in there, and
he's all nervous.
He's all scared with his popcorn.
Yeah.
He wasn't a big guy. He was a little guy.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Other fun things. It was shot in just 20 days.
My God, can you imagine?
Yeah, so fast.
It's all haunted house people. It's all the same people were in that movie that are in a haunted house.
Yeah, right, exactly.
It's going on for the same time. I feel like the haunted house I went to this weekend, 20 days.
The Michael Myers original mask was created from a modified William Shatner mask.
I've heard this.
Yes, it was painted white and just kind of gave it this vapid kind of look and
eerie
feel to it. Yeah, very strange.
And he just wears like that. He just wears like a jumpsuit.
A jumpsuit, very popular right now.
Sure.
But they also said too that the Michael Myers mask isn't necessarily icon, like, you know, the Jason Voorhees mask. It's a hockey mask. It's the oval mask with the holes in it, and it's the same every time.
Yes.
What's the hockey mask?
It's a hockey.
Well, then, but this one it's not
always
the same
the same
every time, right?
Oh.
It's sometimes different, I guess.
Okay.
I told you that the score was good.
Looking forward to that score.
I told you that Michael Myers doesn't speak until 2007.
When he does speak, is he?
I don't know what he says. We're not watching that movie.
Okay. What does he say, Kim?
He says, "My name is Michael Myers. It's a pleasure to meet you. I'm crazy.
I'm crazy.
Yeah, I'm going to kill you now."
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I gotta say, this is exactly the type of movie that I've avoided for my whole life.
I know.
I don't need this anxiety.
Okay. It's going to be fine.
Okay.
It's not real.
I know.
It's just a man in a mask.
I know, but
We had to do this.
I know.
You know.
It's so funny because, you know, I'm definitely sleeping here tonight.
Yeah.
And before I was like, maybe I'll drive home depending on how I feel.
Maybe
I'll go home
outside.
tonight.
I'm going to go make sure the door's locked too. Did you lock the door when you came in?
I did it.
We gotta go.
We gotta go, guys. We gotta go.
All right.
See you on the other side.
We'll be back. Bye.
Oh man.
Are you scared?
I mean, a little bit. I just ran full speed down your hallway.
Hallways, man, are so fucking scary, aren't they?
So scary.
God.
Like literally, like my heart is going a little
Because hallways.
Because hallways.
And also Michael Myers. Yeah, did he scare you? So tell me how you're feeling.
Okay. I think that the thing with this movie that I can imagine, especially if you saw this in a movie theater, the way that it's shot, where the camera is the killer's POV is a little scary.
Yeah.
That's definitely scary. And people, like, I know now it's a trope, but watching it, people just make the dumbest decisions in these movies.
Yeah.
And that makes it hard to watch.
Right.
Because it's so dumb.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think the assumption that you're going to have like the best decision-making skills when faced with a killer is pretty, you know.
I mean, I hope to. I hope to one day have the best decision-making skills when faced with it. And as I commented when we were watching, I think we would.
You think we'd be all right?
You and me together. Like, I think you and I, if faced with something like that.
You don't think we'd just laugh?
No, I think we would become women of action.
Okay.
And we would
make a plan and just go.
We would be able to make a plan, tell each other in our brains telepathically what needed to happen, and we would work together.
You have really high hopes for us.
I know we could do it.
And I'm going to disappoint you.
Well, I'm going to leave you behind.
I know you will. You can run much faster than me, so you will be the one that lives.
Well, I've thought of that before. Like, if I had to, I could run a significant distance away. In about 10 minutes, I could be a mile away.
And you know how far I could run in 10 minutes? Not 1 mile.
over a mile away in 10 minutes.
See, that's my thing. Is my thing would have to be hiding or something, and also that doesn't work in my favor.
What?
Like I would have to hide.
Oh yeah,
And
no, you got to move.
No.
That's what they say. They say that's where people get in trouble.
Because they stay put.
They stay put, or they stay and they try and fight. When what you should do is get out and run and find some help. Oh, that's the better chance that you have.
If you're being chased by a crazy killer.
If somebody breaks into your house.
Oh, because like they tell you in those like, you know, those crazy videos we have to watch at work.
Oh, I'm having so much anxiety right now.
When they talk about like if you have like an active shooter situation, they like encourage you in those videos like to fight back, and they're like,
that's the last result. The first result is to get out. Where did I say result? Yes, resort. The first thing they tell you to do is like get away, like run away. But then it's hide.
But then
it's fight. Stand your ground.
I feel like in the most recent video I watched, I felt like they were really like egging me on to fight back. I feel like because they were just like,
you look down at your fists like, yes, it is time.
Mary Kate and Ashley, are you ready?
Oh God!
But like,
I think that's what you named them. It's pretty good. I like it.
Okay. They're tough.
They're tough, yeah.
But I feel like it was fully just like, if you're gonna fight back, make sure you give it all you've got.
Yeah, because it's the last resort
or result.
Yeah, either or.
Right.
Like that's that you're gonna die or you're gonna give it all you got.
Right.
So go down fighting as hard as you can.
Right.
Yeah, because you're probably gonna go down. Like that's what they're not saying is like, if it's at the point where you have to fight with your hands, you're probably going to die because the other person has a gun.
Right. Yeah. Do you ever think about like the realisticness?
Sure.
The reality
of
like, you know how they tell you like when you walk, you're supposed to put like a key between your fingers. Sure. Do you ever think of the reality of actually stabbing someone with a key?
Yeah.
I feel like
yeah,
the likelihood of that actually puncturing skin is like so slim.
I've thought about before if you had to fight against someone and it was really like you can't like do like a weak chop. You know what I mean? Like if you had to attack someone with a knife,
sure,
you gotta mean it.
I know,
and you gotta stab through skin.
I know, and you can't laugh.
You can't laugh. You can't like half mean it.
No,
you gotta full mean it. Go down, stabbing motion.
Stop stabbing me.
Okay, let's talk about this movie. Because it brought up a lot of feelings, obviously. Okay, so just to talk about the movie. Yeah, so I thought it was very interesting that it was the killer's gaze.
Yes.
Throughout. I think I didn't know that it started when he was a little boy in this movie. So you kind of hear the backstory.
6 years old.
He's 6 years old and he really doesn't like that his sister's a whore.
Right. Who does?
Yeah, but it's like real weird. Like he's standing outside watching his sister be a whore.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that, but you know what I mean. She's like making out with a boyfriend.
Yeah.
And then she runs upstairs, presumably to have sex with him.
Right.
And the little boy's still watching from outside.
Yes.
And you don't know that he's a little boy at that point. You just think you think he's Michael Myers.
Right. You can't really tell in the beginning what's going on. And then you see like, you're definitely from someone's point of view.
Yeah.
And then you realize he's like got his mask on because it like dims into like the eyes.
The eye holes. Yeah.
Yeah. Which I think is cool.
No, I think it's very cool. I can see why this movie was a big deal.
Yeah.
And it really did make, I mean, gosh, think of all the things that have come after because of this movie and what it has inspired.
Right.
It's kind of crazy. But I think this movie, we had talked before about it being like punishing to teenagers. Like, first of all, the teenagers in this movie, assholes.
Well, yeah.
Except for Jamie Lee Curtis.
Right. She's the savior. She's the one.
And she's very like virginal. They make a point to be like, she doesn't have a date to the homecoming dance.
Right. She doesn't really do anything. She doesn't hang out.
She doesn't have a boyfriend. She wears white, thick stockings.
Right. Everyone knows that kind of person.
Yeah. Nobody's getting in those. Nobody wants to get in those. Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like at the beginning, she like, it's weird because it's almost like a death to innocence. Like you see like this little boy who should be this innocence.
Yeah.
And then he's killing his sister who isn't innocent, right? She's had sex. She's whatever.
Right.
So but it's still like this weird death. Like it's his innocence that's lost in that moment.
And it's also interesting because he was wearing a costume when he killed her because it was Halloween.
Right.
And when he grows up and becomes a killer, he also wears a costume, which is interesting.
Yeah, he's mentally ill.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think, so the guy who you talked about before, Don Pleasance, who
Loomis.
He plays Loomis. So you had said, well, he was kind of a big deal. So the reason he was a big deal was because he was in The Great Escape, which is a very famous movie with, and he actually had a very memorable role in it. He was the forger.
Okay.
So
I've never seen that movie.
It's a great movie.
Okay.
It's one of those old movies with Steve, who's the guy?
McQueen.
Steve McQueen.
Okay.
Yeah, it's worth it. It's long.
I won't watch it.
The same roommate who loved Halloween and Anne Rice also loved The Great Escape, and the first time I ever watched it was her. If you're listening,
she's not. She hates you.
She definitely hates me. She's my Facebook friend, though, so I mean, maybe. Stranger things have happened.
She just likes to keep an eye on you.
Maybe. Yeah, so I mean, I think just as a movie of like if you just take it at face value,
right?
It's creepy. The entire movie is it's dark throughout pretty much the whole movie. In the beginning, there's a little bit of daylight. And I think those scenes are actually pretty creepy too, where it's like she kind of sees Michael Myers in the day.
Yeah, in the yard and stuff like that.
Yeah,
in the backyard.
Those moments are pretty
But you never
creepy.
really see him either. Like, there's never really a shot of him, like, full frontal.
Well, in the end, though, he does take his mask off.
Yeah,
You
see it for like a glimpse.
A half a second. Yeah, but I think it does really, it's very unsettling throughout. The whole movie creates that feeling, which is an accomplishment for anything to, I think, elicit some sort of feeling when you're watching it. However, there's some pretty ridiculous moments in this movie.
For sure.
I mean, first of all, he gets locked up when he's a little boy. Like, I think they say he's 6 years old.
I think so, yeah. 6 or 8.
So the beginning of this movie is Loomis and this nurse who are driving in the middle of the night in a rainstorm to a psychiatric hospital.
To pick him up, to take him to court, to make sure that he never gets out of that psych hospital.
Yeah, because Loomis is like, he can never be free.
Yeah, it's like he's up for whatever psych parole.
Right.
Yeah.
So he can never get out.
Right.
Why they're picking him up in the middle of the night in a rainstorm makes no sense. It is pretty creepy though, as they roll up to the joint. You just see people who are in hospital gowns.
White hospital gowns, like in the rain outside. Yeah, I like that a lot. Like,
it's creepy.
It's very creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very creepy. And then they get there and he immediately hijacks the car.
Michael Myers does.
Myers does. And he, pulls the nurse out of it and
steals the car.
And starts driving. To which I say, he was locked up when he was 6 years old. Who taught this man how to drive?
But they bring that up. They do address that.
Well, they say someone questions it.
Well, because he's just like, he couldn't have gone far. He can't drive a car. And the one guy's like, well, he's done pretty well so far. Like, they kind of like answer the question that you have by saying like, well, he figured it out.
Yeah, I don't know, because all cars back then were clutch, and I can't imagine anyone figuring out a clutch car. I have nightmares about having to drive a clutch car.
Well,
I don't know how
that doesn't happen when you're trying to escape from a killer.
It won't, because there's no clutch cars anymore, unless I'm going to go drive like...
There's some.
Not most, though. Don't you think most cars are automatic?
Most are, but...
We drive luxury in America. We want luxury vehicles.
Yeah, but luxury cars are stick shift.
No.
Yes.
No,
people like that. They want to have control. Ask a man.
Yeah, but I don't think most cars. I think if you went down the street, I'd say 90% of the cars...
Right, would be locked, first of all, now.
Right, but 90 to 95% of the cars are just automatics.
Yeah.
So, which I think he could figure out an automatic. I don't think he could figure out a clutch.
Okay.
But, so he gets free, and he goes to Haddonfield, and immediately... First of all, somehow he's very into Jamie Lee Curtis. But do you think he's just trying to find another girl to replace his sister?
Well, right, because she's doing a favor for her dad, and she's dropping off this key because he's a real estate agent. She's dropping off the key at the house, so because they think they might have a seller for this house that has been abandoned for years since the murders took place, or that murder took place there.
It's probably real cheap real estate.
Probably.
Yeah.
And it's also in Illinois.
Yeah.
And he sees her.
$30,000.
What?
$30,000?
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's probably super cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah. In 1978?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably less.
You can get it for a song.
Yeah.
We'll see.
For a steal. But yeah, and I assume just because he sees her and...
With the key. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's weird. But he's very
or
much
she's
about...
like the first person he sees once he's out.
And she has these two friends who are dicks.
Yeah, they are.
Like, her friends are not nice to her.
No, and I don't think and they don't have the same values.
But they're just not nice people whatsoever.
No.
But I do feel like, again, that's this male gaze of like, these whores, like they're just jerk girls. Like they're not nice to them at all. Because it's not, again, like we watch it and we're like, oh, those girls are jerky. And they are. Mm-hmm. But it's a man who's making this.
And it's a man, well, it's from the point of view of Michael Myers, right? So he sees them as trying to corrupt
her,
Jamie Lee Curtis.
But he still tries to kill Jamie Lee. I don't think he sees Jamie Lee Curtis as any different from those other girls.
Oh, you don't?
No, because he was going to kill her. If he could have, he would have killed her too.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
But I think I'm just thinking as the filmmaker, the way he's presenting those young girls, he's presenting them as being real bitches. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like they're just like, I thought you were going to get me some beers, like to the boy. You know, like there's nothing likable about her two friends.
Well, that's why and also in horror movies, it has to be okay for people to die. We have to not like them a little bit to keep watching. I feel like that's something that's pretty common in horror movies. There's the first people to die, or the people that die are often the shittiest people.
So that's why usually black people are killed first, because nobody cares.
In society, that's a thing.
I know. Yes. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
it sucks. Fucking horror movies. It's a reflection of society.
Right.
Don't like black people. Don't like women. I got it.
Right.
I got to go to bed.
Clearly.
I got to go lay down.
But I think that, they have to give them... You can't just go around killing nice people.
No, but I mean, I think you're meant to like Jamie Lee Curtis in this. Like, she cares about the children. Survives. She survives. And you care about the children. Although... Again, okay. So Michael Myers, first he kills the one girl that she's friends with. Annie. And he also gets the gravestone, which...
Of his sister that he killed.
Can you imagine how heavy that gravestone is? And this guy's just carrying it through town.
Well,
and no one's
other people are carrying pumpkins. They managed, so he can manage.
Okay, I'm sorry. A pumpkin is not as heavy as like a granite headstone.
When have you ever carried a headstone?
I mean... Never, but I've carried like a rock, like a small rock, and it's heavy. I can't imagine a big one. And no one saw him walking through that little town where there's a lot of foot traffic.
I don't know.
He's like struggling with this big
Get a car.
So he kills the one girl, and then he kills the other friend and the boy that she was
doing it with.
And then he starts going after Jamie Lee Curtis. And she first stabs him in the neck.
With a knitting needle.
Right. And she thinks he's dead.
Right.
But instead of calling 911 being like, she like kind of lays on the couch for a while.
Right. She takes a rest.
She just whimpers for a while. And then she doesn't call 911.
No.
And then she runs upstairs
to get the kids.
To the kid she was babysitting. And then she realizes he's still alive.
Right.
And then she hides in like a closet with the weakest doors. Like they might as well have just been paper.
But she ran into that room and she opened the window or the door, this veranda doors or whatever. And she like tried to kind of trick him.
Oh, like
she went out that way. And then she hid in the closet. But she hid in the closet and was like,
it's just like, it's the most freaking noise.
The whole time.
And I get it. Like, these movies aren't supposed to make sense, but they're frustrating to watch.
Well, I also wonder, too, and I think about, like, the direction she was being given. So would it have been better if she was just silent?
Well, yeah, because I think movies are more realistic like that now, and it wouldn't be silent. You would have music coming in, and you would just have that. You could still build that tension if she was quiet.
Mm-hmm.
I think, like you were saying before, where there's something like sexual with that, because again, you have a lot of the people that these movies appeal to are mostly men, and you have these like weak women who are like whimpering and making
pleading
these very
for their
like
lives,
sexual noises.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I'm not going to watch any more of these movies. I'll tell you that. I'm glad to have seen
Halloween.
You're never picking another one of these movies.
What, another Halloween movie?
Yeah.
You don't know.
I don't know.
If we do this podcast for years and years and years, I might have to.
God damn it. No, I mean, I see you genre. I get it. But I can't say that I enjoy it.
Right.
And I also, this isn't that scary to me, I would have to say. Like I could creep myself out in my head thinking that someone was like chasing me, but still isn't as scary to me as like Poltergeist was very scary to me. Like ghosts are more scary to me than this.
Oh, really?
A monster movie, sometimes like in a ghost movie, the paranormal, things that freak me out a lot are
aliens.
Yeah, like the things that you don't know. Yeah, like things that you think you are living in this reality, but really it's this different reality that you didn't know about, like these things that are out there that you didn't know. And I guess that's the same with evil, but I also feel like you kind of know that there's evil out there.
But I feel like one of the things that's been freaking me out a lot lately has been one of the things that I just can't stop thinking about.
And I think, okay?
No, but it comes up. It's very much what happens in this movie. You're just having a regular day.
Yes.
Everyone's been having everyone who has experienced something horrible was just having a regular day until it wasn't a regular day.
Yeah.
Until Michael Myers was there, or until they got into a car accident, or until the plane crashed, or until like.
Are you thinking about this because the guy from One Direction? Because I was thinking about that with him.
No, but I have been thinking about that guy a lot. I feel bad for that guy.
So did he fall? Or did he jump?
I don't know. I don't think they know yet. But I mean, it
could be either way.
Yeah. It seems like a lot of stuff is coming out that his record label dropped him and things like that a couple of days before. And apparently he had a pretty serious drug addiction, supposedly. So I know.
But everybody's like, I think that's the same with everything. I mean, I think that's why. But I'm going to invoke 9/11 right now. But I think that was what was so scary about 9/11, where it was like you're having this normal day and all of a sudden this really crazy thing happens.
That's what I mean. But then at the same time, I think about something like this, like the kid from One Direction dying. And he was really sad because his record label dropped him, or he was having this really tough time. But then look at other people who have had those terrible things happen. And then that was the catalyst for something amazing to happen in the rest of their life. And that's sad to me, because it's like, no, just wait, man. Maybe something better will happen.
I'm going to say something really sad right now.
Okay, great.
But my son asked me the other day, we were watching something, or I don't know how it came up. And he said, is it hard to kill yourself? I know.
Jesus.
I know. And I said, no, it isn't. But that's the thing that's horrible about it, because it's not hard, but then it is hard. You lose so much. And some people don't think about it very much. And then it's gone and you haven't thought about it very much. But isn't that terrible?
Yeah.
I know. I felt sad. Do you want to lay down now?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
He wasn't he was more just like asking the question, like out in the world. Like
he was just thinking like, oh, it would be hard to kill yourself.
Like difficult. Like a high level of difficulty.
It's not easy to die. Can't kill me or something.
Right. Yeah.
But now it's pretty easy to do. But I think that kids should know that it's not hard.
Yeah.
Like it can just happen when you're not thinking about it. Okay. I know. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
So why do you make me watch this movie? Now I got to think about death and people being killed, and
it's Halloween.
But Halloween's supposed to be it's like spooky, scary Halloween. It's bones and it's bats and it's ghouls and Dracula.
I wish there was a video of that. It's amazing.
Yeah, but that's the kind of Halloween stuff I want to think about.
Okay, let's talk about Jamie Lee Curtis's voice towards the end of the movie.
So, however she was directed in this end scene in this movie, which, if it's true, what your husband said, that they shot all of that guy Loomis's scenes all at once, it would make sense to think that she had done that scene out of context before. Right. Maybe she had like developed this character a little bit more. Yeah. Okay. Because it spoke in a completely different voice. Right. She was like, go down down the street. You need to go. It was so weird.
It was weird. It was very deep and weird.
You do your impression?
You need to go to Mackenzie's house.
Right, like she spoke in like 5 different registers below.
Yeah, it was real deep.
Yeah.
She was serious. She was trying to let those kids know. They need to listen.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Halloween.
What else?
Fun times. What else from this movie? We mentioned, you do get to see him. So I didn't realize you get to see him in this movie.
There's also boobs.
So many boobs.
Well, not so many.
Like 4 individual boobs. I know, 6 individual boobs. Because you see his sister's boobs in the beginning.
Yeah, that's 1 too.
And then you see Annie, the curly-haired friend.
You do?
Don't you see her boobs?
I don't know.
I think you see her boobs.
Okay, you definitely see the other slut's boobs.
Yeah, I think there's 6 total boobs.
For 3 people's boobs, 6 total.
3 pairs, 6 total. So, yeah, there's a lot of that happening. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of, I do feel like with this movie, it definitely got to a point where I was a little bit bored with it.
Yeah, it's definitely drawn out.
It's drawn out a little bit too much because he's like walking slow and you're like, all right.
Well, it's funny too to think about the fact that that guy was all by himself, or like they were trying to shoot that guy because he was like outside alone by himself a lot.
Oh,
they were just like, let's just get some B-roll of him hanging out by the bushes. And just in case we need it. And then they were like, we need it. And they had to use it.
Well, the other thing is, this is some real 70s, 80s, like, adults happening here. Again, because, there's one part in this movie where Jamie Lee Curtis, she sees her friend has been killed. She sees all of her friends have been killed. She runs out of the house. She's in a neighborhood.
Yes.
Now, in the neighborhood I grew up in, which had a bunch of houses in it,
sure.
If someone was screaming down the road, people would be out, like, what's happening? Mm-hmm. Nobody's coming outside. She goes to a next-door neighbor's house, and she knocks on the door. They turn the lights on, but then, like, some adult looks out the window and then turns all the lights off.
Yeah.
To be like, well, I'm not going to help you, screaming teenage girl.
That happened in my neighborhood when I was little.
What?
There was, like, a girl that came to our neighborhood in the middle of the night, and she was wrapped in a blanket or something like that.
Oh my God. Tell the story.
I don't remember anything about it. I asked my mom about it.
Call your mom right now.
I asked her. She was like, I don't know what you're talking about.
There was a girl who came to your house.
I swear it happened.
You might have dreamt this.
And I just remember that's all I remember. She came to this neighborhood, and she was either...
Was she like a young girl?
Yeah, a young girl. And
was she in distress?
Knocking on doors in distress. And I feel like I was too young because it was our house before we moved to the house that...
Was it by the zoo?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I didn't move. I moved out of there when I was in like 7th grade.
Okay.
So I would have been too young if it was anything to know about anything like real that might have happened.
Okay.
But I remember they either gave her a blanket or she was wrapped in a blanket and they had to call the police. And I don't think she came to our house. I think she came to our neighbor across the street's house.
That would have been big news in the neighborhood, though.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we lived on a dead-end road. So, there were probably 10 houses tops in our neighborhood.
We didn't have anything like that happen when I was a kid. We had wild dogs.
It's not the same.
There would often be, we had drills where kids would like, all of a sudden you would hear kids yelling, wild dogs! And you would have to like run up on your porch and run away.
So our neighbor that lived behind us at that house, they had a Doberman like yours.
Yeah.
And that dog's name was Gretchen.
Our neighbors had a dog named Gretchen too.
Really? Yeah. And we were so terrified of this dog. And then one time it got loose. And we were between houses. Like we were either going from my house to my friend's house or my friend's house to my house. And the dog got out and we ran. So the dog chased us, obviously, because that's what dogs do.
Right. It's probably fine.
It was probably fine. But we'd always been told to stay away from this dog, and it would always bark at the fence and everything. So we'd build it up in our heads that this dog was going to
Doberman are scary.
Yeah, rip us from limb to limb. And we ran. And then I remember we got to my parents' garage and we all stopped, and somebody from that house came and got the dog, and all of our parents ran outside. I remember my friend's neighbors, or like our friend's dad, was like in his underwear or something like that. It was like a whole thing.
A lot of dads in underwear when we were kids. I feel like the dads just hung out in underwear a lot.
And but one of my friends, she wet her pants.
Oh,
because she was so scared. It was a big deal.
Yeah. Well, there was one time where there was a dog named Chubby.
Aww.
And he was just a beagle. Right. But he was a mean, dog.
Yeah.
He wasn't right in the head.
Sure.
And one time, me and my friend who lived in, the house, not across the street, but behind the house across the street from me, it was the winter and there was a lot of snow. And we had decided we were going to try and roll a snowball starting in her yard to our yard. But we only got as far as, the house in between. And it was a summer house. So those people were, never really there. So Chubby got out and he started chasing me when I was walking up from my friend's house. I know. And I ran and I got up on top of the snowball because it was probably it was definitely waist high.
It seemed giant because you were little.
I know, but I could get up on top of it. And I just remember standing on it and it was scratching at the side of it. And the snow was going away. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to fall. And this dog is going to
snowball's going to collapse.
The snowball's going to collapse. But then I remember the mom who owned the dog came out and got the
saved.
dog. I got saved from Chubby.
Wasn't the first time, won't be the last.
Oh man. I feel like people are going to see that we're talking about this movie and people probably love this movie and they have so many little things with this movie.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm looking at it the things my big takeaways were they really didn't have any great hair products back in the late 70s because all their hair looks like shit.
Right.
The outfits were great.
Yes.
Minus
those tights.
Yeah, but it didn't scare me.
No.
That much.
It wasn't too scary.
No. I'm fine.
But I don't know.
I wouldn't go out to my car right now.
Oh, hell no. I wouldn't even look out the window.
No. Can't look out the window right now.
No.
Sutton's definitely.
I can't.
But I'm glad we watched it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, did you connect this to
Of course I did.
Oh, good.
You know that I did. So, we have Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah, we do.
She was in this movie called Halloween.
She was.
Now, she was in a 1985 movie called Perfect.
Okay.
And I've never seen this movie, but recently on Instagram, I feel like it's come up a lot, the scene from this movie with Jamie Lee Curtis, and she's an aerobics teacher. Mm-hmm. And John Travolta.
Oh, yeah.
Is in
I've
the
seen
class.
this.
And they're kind of thrusting.
Yeah, they are.
And moving in their aerobic suits.
Their leotards.
Yes. And so she was in that with John Travolta in 1985.
Okay.
And he was in Broken Arrow with Christian Slater.
Oh, my God.
I know.
John Travolta.
So close.
Awesome. Well, this was good.
Yeah, it wasn't.
I mean,
you got snacks.
Okay.
I gave you a fun drink.
You did.
Yeah.
Let's go have more of them. But thank you guys for all listening to this. It's been a fun Halloween. We're coming back next week with some just regular episodes. But yeah, definitely if you want more horror, if you crave more horror reviews from me and Kim, you can go back to last season. We did some fun ones too.
Yeah.
But we think you should also just stick with us and listen to all the episodes.
Of course. And thank you to everyone who has been listening. We appreciate you. Anyone who's commenting or rating, reviewing. We like that. That's very nice of you.
I know. We love it when you guys say stuff. It's just really fun. Mm-hmm. Also, I just want to say this.
Okay, go.
Okay. You ready?
I'm ready. Tell me.
Okay. Listen. If someone is trying to murder you.
Okay.
There's a murderer on the loose and he's in the house with you.
Right.
I want you to be confident.
Right.
Just get the heck out of there. Do what you have to do. don't sit there and whimper.
Even if you think that they've been killed, even if you check their pulse or
don't trust. Just run away from the house until
Just
you are
get
around
away.
other people.
Yeah, exactly. Until you are safe in police custody. And even then, be aware.
Yeah, absolutely. But listen, here's the other thing I want to tell you.
Okay.
Don't be controversial. And if you're babysitting at someone else's house,
yeah,
don't use their washing machine.
and don't have sex in the parents' bed.
No.
It's rude.
It's rude. If nothing
Really
else.
rude.
All right, guys. We love you.
Bye.
Bye.